Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Conversations with Shawna show. Thank you for those of you who are joining us live. Say hi. And for those of you here on the replay, give us the hashtag replay. And if we have not met yet, hi there. I'm Shawna. I'm a mindset and sales success coach, founder of the Aligned Selling Method. And I help heart centered entrepreneurs to transform their limiting beliefs around selling, create a new money story, and embrace the mindset of selling is serving so that you can confidently sell your products, programs, and services in a way that feels as easy as having a conversation. So today we have a special guest interview. I'm so excited here. Joining me today is Echo Pelster. And Echo, oh my gosh, she is amazing. She is the CEO of Inner Course, ENNERCOURSE, with experience of 40 years in direct sales, financial services, and retail business ownership. She brings tried and true business principles and practice management tools to business organizations, taking them to their next level of success. It's not about self control, it's about self empowerment. And Echo's here to share her story with us today. She was born a normal 8.5 pounds. She learned to cope with life by using food at a very young age. And eventually, this led to her weight of over 358 pounds. So I'm excited to have you here with us today, Echo, to share your story with us. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Shawna, so much for inviting me. I'm always honored to tell my story because I know I'm not the only story. My story is going to help someone else. And I'm so grateful that you're willing to help me pay that forward.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm so happy. It's just your story is so powerful. So, good morning, Laura. I can see the comments on my phone. If you're coming in from my Facebook group, you actually do have to allow stream your permission so we can see who's chatting with us. So, yeah, so let's start. Where do you want to start? Tell us about yourself, Echo.
I spent a lot of years just really feeling inadequate.
Mhm.
I was an overachiever because I never felt like I was enough. And so I excelled in sales and in my job. But when I went home at night, my life wasn't so fulfilled. It became monotonous because of that. And being in a sales background, I had this amazing confidence that came out to other people and probably does to a lot of people in a lot of ways. But the truth of that confidence, many times it was my shell, it was my outer layer to protect you from getting in because I didn't feel like I was enough.
So much comes up for us when we don't think we're enough. And I have to say though, the other side of that is the woman you are today as
That's
well.
right.
Yeah, your accomplishments, your successes. And I love this because you have a book. I'm just going to put it out there right now. It's in the comments. She has a book that's launching today, and we're going to be talking about that. I know. So share it. The link is up in the comments here, and let's talk about your story in your book. Let's talk about the food, and the connections, and what your journey over this past while.
I think when it became really obvious to me when I look back in my past, I realized that my grandmother loved me very much, but she fed me. And because, if something went wrong, we'd find a cookie or a candy bar. And I just didn't know to put it on my knee, for my skin knee or on my heart when my feelings were hurt. We always had our talks, but it seemed like they were always the sugar was always a part of the love. And that was a really important aha for me because I really realized that it had nothing to do with love, but it was how I coped for a long time. And I think the death of my brother really cemented that. On the morning that he well, on the day he was killed, on that morning, what happened was I was asked to feed him breakfast, and we were having oatmeal, and neither one of us really liked it. And he said, "I hate oatmeal," and I said, "I hate oatmeal too." And he said, "I hate you," and I said, "I hate you too." And he got killed before I got home from school. And I held that in for years and years, and just shame because I said that to my brother and I never told a soul. But, and we didn't go to the funeral, and nobody talked about religious things or the hereafter or transition after life. And so I came to my own conclusions about death. And what was really interesting is I remember as kids staying home with a babysitter at his funeral, and people just brought cake. And I remember thinking, what the heck? People die and you bring cake. But what I got from those cakes and how that took something, that horrible feeling away from me, that was my fix. Just like someone who uses heroin or alcohol or gambling. I mean, it's a reality. And so as I progressed, there was a day that I could no longer eat enough sugar to feel better. I had my first gastric bypass at 223 pounds, only to go all the way up to 357 pounds. And so what did I do? I had another one. There's insanity, thinking you're going to get a different result. I lost 203 pounds this time, only to regain over 100 pounds. Because see, it wasn't what I was eating, it was what was eating me.
Can you say that again? Because that is so powerful. That needs to be your tagline for everything.
It wasn't what I was eating, it was what was eating me.
Yes.
And in reality, I didn't know what those things were, Shawna. I didn't. I knew there was something wrong in my heart. And I went on to have another sister who was hit by a drunk driver who laid in a coma for 2.5 years. I never saw her during that time. And due to the estrangement of my mother being given away when I was 15, I didn't go back for that funeral. And so there was no closure. And then I had another sister who was killed in a car wreck with 2 neighbor kids, and all 3 of them were killed. And, I was just pushing all that down inside me for years. And then I had a sister who came to Nebraska and lived near me. And we had a wonderful year together. And she took her own life.
Oh my goodness.
And that was, I think, my breaking point at that moment. And I had been alone. I'd been divorced. I'd gone through a second divorce. I'd been divorced for about 5-7 years, right in there, and really living on my own. And her death just really rattled me in a way that nothing ever had. And there was nothing I could do at that point to feel better. And I realized there had to be another way to cope and figure this out. And so what I really did was I went back to some of my sales training and I said, if we can do this with this, what could we do for self-esteem and weight loss in other areas? If it works in sales, why doesn't it work everywhere in our life? And so that's what my personal program is about the language we use with ourselves and the dialogue we have with ourselves when we make decisions that aren't in alignment with what we truly want. And I will tell you the amazing thing. My sister's death truly rattled me, and there was 6 officers from the Dawson County Sheriff's Office that stood graveside for her. And one of those officers was her supervisor. And she always said I should get to know her supervisor and I should go and date him. And I said, oh, if you don't get out, we can't do that. And so after her funeral, I would run into this man every once in a while, and we'll be married 25 years in July.
Oh my God. That's your husband. Ooh,
that's my husband, Laverne, yes. And
so cool.
And so what I've really learned through my experience is as we think things through and we follow through in our lives, we have to really look for the good things and pick up the pieces. They're gonna matter. And we're gonna have to make some decisions in many areas of our life.
Mhm.
And, you know, I felt spiritually broken for a long time.
Wow. Mm.
And today I feel like a whole woman who's ready to pay it forward and help other people go and do that. And, you know, I was literally a size 32, and today I'm a size 12.
I know, I know.
And I can't tell you how big a difference it's made in how I feel about myself, how I feel other people see me, because I had so many mixed messages about my body image,
Mhm.
telling family secrets, all of it.
I I go back to when you were a little kid because your story is so powerful, Echo. And when I read the little bit that you sent me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how, like, as a child, like you said, when you scraped your knee, you did something, and you were given a cookie, you were given sugar, like it's like that's how you started to associate food, right, to help that pain, to make you happy. And I really resonated with it because I was like, oh my goodness, like how many other people are out there doing it. I know for me with food, I have my relationships with food, and it's my comfort food. When I was going through my divorce, when I was going through stuff, I turned to food. And I even went through some stuff at work long time, a lot of years ago, and it was like wine kind of thing, right? So you turn to that comfort. So, but I never associated any of that. Like thinking your story from when you were a child, it's like you didn't know anything different. So of course you're gonna turn to food for this happiness. And with, oh my goodness, like all these deaths from siblings, like oh my goodness, girl, like my heart just, I just want to hug you. Like wow.
And I cringe, you know, often I'm in a grocery store and a parent's trying to get their child to be quiet or whatever, and they hand them sugar, you know, to the checkout counter. And I'm like, wow, I think that's where it starts. You know, one of the things I really learned through the process is assertive discipline, even with my own children. And, you know, it's about following through. It's about if we're not good at the grocery store, then maybe we have to put things back on the shelf and take our children to the car. And, you know, we don't get to do the fun things if we can't be disciplined. And I don't know that I ever acted out for sugar. It was more around other things. But I do know that it was given to me a lot of times as a pacifier.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
And today I don't eat sugar at all. I don't eat any added sugar in my diet whatsoever.
Good
It's a
for you.
below the line food for me today. And I have that food freedom today, and that's such a wonderful thing.
I love that you said that, food freedom. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness. That is so powerful because we associate food with so much, so much. And let's talk some more here about your program because I think it's so powerful, Echo. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, you know, I think my program is a lot different in the sense I don't have any food list, anything to buy, anything to drink, anything like that.
Mhm.
We're When I go into the dialoguing and the success principles that we're using in the program, it's really going to be about the conversations we have with food and what we believe about it. You know, I know one thing for me, I used to get on the scale and say, oh, I've been really good. I can treat myself today. But in reality, I was mistreating myself that day. I was actually going and giving myself something that wasn't in alignment with what my true goal was.
Mhm.
I had to figure out what was food to me,
Yes.
you know, and
Yes.
for me, it was eye-opening, the things about the chemicals in food, the non-food food. You know, there's so much of it out there today. And each person has to find their own way. And the tools that I use in my program in the 90-day reset to release your pounds of pain is to go and help you define what's important and true for you.
Yes.
We all use the same tools and the same principles, but the definition and the DNA of every single person that will be in my program is going to be different. And at the end of the day, what works for your diet may be totally different than what works for mine, and both will be successful. People don't fail diets, diets fail people.
Yeah.
I'm really working toward helping people have a lifestyle and know that they really do have food freedom. And, I had a guy tell me once, I do have food freedom. I can eat anything I want. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I can eat pie, cake. And he was about 350 pounds at the time. And I said, but now tell me, if you're walking by this buffet, could you actually not notice it was there or choose not to eat it? And he's like, oh, no, I couldn't do that. And I said, then I don't know that you do have food freedom.
Yeah.
When we have food freedom, we really are not tempted by something because someone else is serving it. It's because we're making a decision about whether that's food to us and whether or not we're going to eat it and whether it's good for our body and our DNA.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. That is so powerful right there. And I love what you're saying, because so many, like, and I've been on diets my whole life, kind of thing, up and down, up and down. And it's like, we're not all cookie cutters. And yet some of them are exactly like, follow this exactly to a T and you'll get these results. But it just all depends. And when you talked about the emotional side of it, because there is that, to me, exactly what you're saying. It's not the food, it's the emotional side of it. It's the association. It's how you think of the food, and putting that in relation to what you're like, why you're putting whatever you're putting in your mouth, right?
Right. And here's the thing, I'd love to give you all a test today. Imagine your favorite food right now and how it makes you feel when you take the first bite. Because when you do that, you're going to put off that dopamine, that feeling you get. And then in about 6 or 8 hours, go have the first bite of that food. And it's probably not going to taste good. And the reason is you got the dopamine rush right now. In 8 hours, it'll be like, oh, I don't even want this. Well, if you don't want it, throw it in the trash. Because I always say, how's that going to look out, sticking out of my hip or whatever? Especially if I didn't even enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. And so I really work with a lot of the hormonal changes. I know there's tons of people out there who have failed gastric bypasses like myself, or maybe they've been on a weight loss program and they were so proud of themselves because they got their coin in whatever program that was. But now they've gained it all back and they just, they have that feeling of guilt and shame.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, it wasn't them. It was the process. And I am so excited about bringing this process to help others. Every time I see someone on a cart in a grocery store due to their weight and, their height and build, it saddens my heart because I know they don't have to be there. And I remember being on that cart, having congestive heart failure, having pulmonary hypertension, and having a body that I couldn't get out of. And my before and afters in the book.
I know. I saw the picture. I was like, oh my goodness. Wow. Wow.
And so it's like, it's just this opportunity for people to get themselves back. Yeah. And it's not a slow process. Mm-hmm. We're going to invite 24 people to be in my program for 90 days for free. And after that, they'll be on membership. So they'll have a support system thereafter for as long as they need us. That membership includes 2 people, whether it's themselves and a friend, themselves and a spouse, a daughter, whatever. But I want this program to catch on and be like wildfire so people can be healthy and happy and free.
Yes. Oh my goodness, Echo. I want to be on your program.
Well, the link is on innercourse.com, ENNERCOURSC.com. And if you go to the drop down releasing your pounds of pain page, you can go right on there and all the details are there. Just be sure to go fill out the contact page so I get your phone number and your email and the emails of your partners. So
That's that's amazing. I'm definitely going to check it out. We have some comments here, so let's take a look. Good morning. Some of the names aren't showing up, so I'll just look here. Wonderful Echo. Laura says, wonderful Echo. Thank you for sharing your story. Colleen says hi. Hi, Colleen. Then she's like, holy shit. Oh, I think that was a story when you were talking about your siblings and stuff. That's amazing, Echo. Echo, you are such a gorgeous, courageous and gorgeous. I'm throwing that in. Courageous woman, Echo. Thank you for talking so openly about your relationship with food, your struggles and your accomplishments. You are an inspiration. Yes, you truly are. Wow, food freedom. Yeah, exactly. Can we back it up just a little bit and talk about, because you said you had two gastric bypasses.
I
So,
did.
and this is the part of your, because you and I have talked before, well, several times, but I want to just share with everybody how come, like the two, like that is so common, having more than one, and about gaining the weight back and the emotional side of it. So can we just chat about that a little bit more?
You know, I really think I thought there was an easier, softer way than doing the work to lose the weight. And the gastric bypass, I'm going to be honest, it's a tool. And I am here to support gastrologists and rehab centers with the principles. I have a program for them also. And I have a pre-op program to prepare. And then I have an aftercare program that lasts a year for those processes. And then if the hospitals continue to keep that program, what we will do is we will never turn away a patient, because here's the truth. Having morbid obesity is a very hard place to be in life. And for insurance companies to even consider paying for it, they have to consider you morbidly obese. So that's the first message you have about yourself that's overwhelming. But I really believed that gastric bypass was going to make me thin, and I was going to stay thin forever. I had no pre-care. I had no aftercare other than seeing a surgeon once a year for 20 years. And, I had my first one in 1984. That's 38 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That I've been a gastric bypass patient, that my body's been altered. And so the second one, I was having complications with the first one. And really the only way to fix one was to get another one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so the pouch had stretched. I had abused it drastically from overeating. And, because I wasn't emotionally intact with what I was eating, and that was creating a problem physically for me. And, the truth is just the truth. Today, I look at food so much differently. I look at the food I use so much differently. I look at everything differently. But there just wasn't a conversation with the surgeons. And when this launch day is over with this new book, every single surgeon I know is going to be getting my book and a letter from me. And I want to come and at least tell my story for the people having surgery before they ever have it. I want to make that difference.
Yes. That is so powerful. When you and I had that conversation and you talked about doing this, I'm like, oh my goodness, you have to do this. Because how many people out there, like, I don't know, I'd probably say hundreds of thousands, that have gone through this in some form, right? And even like you said, like before, like the pre-op, the post-op, like all the things, having your program, having you have something put together for them to be able to go afterwards going, okay, here's what happened. Now I'm associating, how am I associating eating with my emotions and so on and so forth. And then having those lasting results, because they're not connecting the dots beforehand.
Well, and there's so much more, because it takes a lot of time eating to maintain that type of weight. So how do we get them into life and find things that they're truly passionate about to replace that time? and to make those differences. And I have some skill sets we're going to be using to help find out who you are. And so you can dig into yourself, because I didn't have a clue who I was.
Mhm.
I was buried in there and I did not have a clue of who I was.
Mhm.
And I wasn't anybody that somebody else told me I was.
Mm.
There wasn't a single attitude of who I am that I was conditioned to be by my past, by my parents, my education. I literally was in a career that someone else suggested because I wanted to be accepted, and I hated the job.
Yeah. Mm.
And this was my year to break through from that.
Oh my goodness, girl. I am so proud of you from when I met you in San Diego at our Train the Trainer Live to now. Like, I see these changes in you. And it's so beautiful. I love the conversations we've had. Like, I'm so happy and I'm so proud of you, because this is your time to shine. This is your time to say, okay, this is my story. This is my life.
Well, Shawna Roach, you have been a big part of my discovery within myself, because you have created in me questions about who I am. I did my archetype with you. And when I read that, I'm like, okay, I'm 62 years old this year. There's no way she could know any of this about who I am and what I've experienced. And you gave that to me. And I'm like, it explains so much. So there's so many avenues to finding ourselves, and finding that great universal spirit of ourself, and creating that community and love. I was isolated. I felt like I didn't have a friend in the world.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
And now I have lots and lots of
You
friends.
do. You do. You do. I love it. I love that. I love being on this journey with you. I really do. And it was
Well,
my honor to be able to show you that beautiful spirit that's inside of you and help just bring that part out of you. And it just, that lights up my soul and my heart, that I was able to help you through that part of seeing that the beautiful woman you are today. So I'm just so happy for you, Echo.
this fall, the book Nobody's Child, Releasing the Pounds of Pain, will tell my entire story.
Okay. And that comes out this fall?
This fall. It's almost finished. It's been quite a journey writing this book, because I had moments when I'm like, should I tell that? And it's really a tell all,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily on my family, but on myself and how I felt. It's my emotional journey, because how I perceive something and how you perceive something, and it could be the same thing, we may see that totally different.
Yeah.
And so it's really about my emotional journey and how I felt as a child, as a young adult, as a wife of a control freak, all of it, all of it, and I don't know, maybe you would have been in the same situation and perceived it totally different. But I'm also going to tell you about the amazing way that I coped through those things that I didn't even know I was coping.
Yes.
And it wasn't always with sugar. Like, I had to be honest. I left one of my ex-husband's clothes on his mother's roof because it made me feel better.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would handle things in life that way today,
Yeah.
but we cope the way we cope until we know something else. And I know that when we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
And so that's what my program is about. It's not about what we knew before, it's about what we want to know so we can do better.
That's exactly it, right? We do the best we can with the knowledge we have. So,
That's
oh,
right.
oh my goodness, I love it. Susan's here. Susan's saying, hi, Echo and Shawna. Aw, you got a friend here, girl. Yeah, love it. Nobody's child, releasing the pounds of grief. And then she says, I'm the first in line to get this book. I love it. Ah,
Yeah. It's actually Nobody's Child, Releasing the Pounds of Pain.
releasing the pounds of pain. Yes, I love it. Oh my
Yes.
God.
And but we do deal with, I think everybody in the world's dealt with losing someone or has known someone who lost someone. And how
Yes.
we cope with that is another thing. And then to be far away and estranged and not a part and have closure of that is
Mhm.
dramatic, to say the least.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is nobody knew how I felt and nobody asked.
Right. Right.
Well, I want to know how you feel and I'm going to ask.
That's so beautiful. I love it. Oh my goodness, Echo. Yes. That's so true, right? And oh my goodness. Oh, Catherine's here. It's lovely to see you both. Hi, Catherine. Um, Echo, my heart is just bursting right now. Like I just love you and I want to hug the crap out of you because you're so beautiful and what you're doing and your story. I mean, gosh, it still brings tears to my eyes. Like your story is so powerful. And now what you've created with this program and how you're going to be helping, you know, the medical, like down the road, the gastric bypass, like going to hospitals with your program. I just think you're amazing. Like you are so amazing. And I just feel like you're at that point right now where you're like, okay, I'm unstoppable. I got this. Here's where I'm going. And I'm here for you to help you in any way. And I'm so grateful that you were the guest today. And everybody, please like go, you have to read Echo's story. She has the chapter, the book. I put the link above that released today. You want to hold your book up one more time for everybody, Echo?
Sure.
Yay.
It's the book
Yay.
on transformation, and I am in the um, last section of the book on what you're going to see released today, and I believe it's traumatic transformations.
I love it. I love it.
And so I'm excited for you to get it in your hands. I'm going to be honest, there's amazing stories, and there's so many health stories in this book of women who suffer from diabetes, who's overcome it, to women who were in domestic abuse, who's overcome it. I just praise all 30 authors in this book. Women who were inspired by other people's stories. One woman's father met Amelia Earhart, and it set her on another plane in life. So I don't think you will be disappointed in the book itself, because there's so many avenues to see yourself differently through the perspective of these women.
Yeah.
And they are triumphant.
Yes. Yes. And there's 30 authors in the book. 30
Yes.
co-authors.
Yes,
So,
and several of them are all of them are Canfield trainers.
oh my goodness. I know. I was like, I was seeing, I was like, oh, I know her. I know her. I know her. So
Yes,
exciting.
and our good buddy Addie's in there.
Lorraine.
Yep, Linda.
Linda.
Yes, Lorraine. I love her story. I read it last night. I every single woman in this book really put their heart into their story.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy out there and you're thinking it's not a book for me, well, if you're trying to figure out women, this might be a good one for you.
Oh my goodness. I love it. If you're trying to figure out women, that's awesome.
And I'm sure you have a mom, a grandma, a sister, somebody who would love this as a gift from you. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea as a gift as well. Yes. Thank you so much for being here. This has been an amazing interview, and I love it. Colleen was saying there when I was saying about your story, she's like, there needs to be a Kleenex warning. Yes, totally. I was like, oh my God, myself. I was like, it was everything just to hold it together. I was like, wow, girl. So thank you for being here. I absolutely love you. And thank you for those of you who are joining us live and for those of you on the replay. This has been truly amazing. And I cannot wait to get this book and then following up with your book in the fall. Release Pounds of Pain.
Nobody's child, releasing the pounds of pain.
Child, releasing the pounds of pain. Awesome. And I will keep you posted when that book's out. So
my
thank you.
father left and went to Vietnam and never came back. And he came back, but not for me. And my mother mostly spent her time saying, "Get away from me. Go find something to do." And so that's what I felt about myself, was that message. And so that's why I chose Nobody's Child.
Yeah.
My grandmother was there when she could be, and other relatives, but I just really felt like I was out there on my own.
Yeah.
But I'm not alone anymore, and
Nope.
nobody else has to be either.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not. You're so
No.
loved here. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you again for those of you watching us here today and on the replay. And this has been amazing. Have a fabulous rest of your day, everybody. Take care. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
And
Bye.
thank you all for me for just showing up.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Echo. Oh, take care.